promised you some looks with the retro palette, so I'm gonna do that. I have a bit more energy today. So yesterday I swatched the retro palettes. I also compared it to the mini retro and the Lila palette, and I believe the Love palette. But if you have some other questions about comparisons, then please let me know, and if I have that palette or whatever, then I will swatch it for you. All right, so here is the palette, and I'm going to try to do a couple of looks. Instead of doing like the same look on both eyes, I will do like 2 looks, and then maybe I can try another 2, or maybe I won't. I don't know. Let's see what happens. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right in, and I will of course indicate which shades I'm using by pointing them out when I am about to use them. So here we go. Okay, so let me tell you what I did. On the first eye here, I went in with Glitz, and I put that all over the lid. I started with a brush, but went ahead and started to use my finger. Glitz is a duochrome, and it just, a lot of Natasha Denona's shadows are sometimes like easier just to use with your finger. So I used Glitz, and then I went in with Amada, which is a creamy matte, and I used that on the lower lash line and then used it a bit to blend out kind of a wing here. And then I used a nude mauve, and I used it to blend out the Glitz color, so sort of right in this area. Now for this eye, I went in with Opart. I used that in the outer corner, and that is a cream powder or cream to powder, and so started with the finger, ended up being a lot easier with or started with a brush, ended up being a lot easier with the finger because you can just kind of tap it right onto your lid. So there is that. Then I went in with Go-Go and put that into the crease. I also then went in with Psychedelic, which is the Chroma Crystal, like a topper, and I used that under the brow bone and in the inner corner. And then I used Rebellion on the lower lash line. I also ended up using Amada on the lower lash line, and I went in with my Marc Jacobs eyeliner pencil for the waterline, and also ended up using the mini Xenon. I wanted to use that black here and use that to kind of smoke things out. So those are the first two looks. And now I will try for another one or two. See you soon. last two looks. For the right eye, I went in with Vivian and Patty. And I also went in with, shoot, what else did I use? Oh, I think I used Swing. I used Vivian and Patty on the lid, and then I used Swing to kind of blend everything out and under the lash line, and then I just did some mascara. And then for this eye over here, I decided to use Jude, which is this third color here. And then I went into the mini retro and I used Vintage Taupe in 60s, which are those two here. And then I went back into the retro and used Mod to blend out just a little bit under the brow. And then I used the Natasha Denona Macro Blade liner to do a bit of a wing. So there are the looks. So this look is a little different and maybe unexpected from the palette, given that it has a lot more like mauves and pinky tones. So it's definitely different from the rest of the shades, except maybe Opart. Like Jude and Opart seem to be the ones that aren't the pinky ones in the palette. So if you do want that sort of silvery kind of look, then that could be, you know, something you enjoy having in this palette. This is the first Natasha Denona palette where I find that I use my finger more often, especially for the cream to powders and even for the metallics. Like the only ones that I didn't feel like I needed my finger, I could use a brush, are the mattes, but the rest just seem to do much, much better with a finger. And also I find that the shades they're really soft. Like there was a lot of fallout, not like a ton, but there was a good amount, primarily when I used a brush. So it just seems like using your finger is the best way to go. I do really like the looks though. I like each and every one that I did. So I'm really glad that I have this palette. I know a lot of people like to sort of switch up their looks as we go into fall and winter and things like that. And so I think because of the depth of color in this palette that you're gonna love it for if you're someone who like switches things up for fall. I kind of just wear whatever whenever. So really like this palette, glad that I got it. That's it. I will try to do another look soon. Not necessarily with this palette, but a couple of people have asked about the look that I had on in the swatch video, and that was with the Pat McGrath Utopian Dream palette. So maybe I will recreate that if I remember and if I have time. But I want to go ahead and get this up for you all so that you can see the looks. Let me know if you've gotten the palette, how you're liking it, if you don't like it. If you want more looks, I can try to come up with some stuff. And yes, thank you so much for watching. Like the video, and I will see you next time.